countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, we're back up here on the stage at the Heartland Cafe. I'm Michael James. You're listening to another edition of the Live from the Heartland show. It's always good to hear that music by Twin Peaks. I confess my son is in that band, and he's off in college, but all of a sudden they're going to leave college and sign a record deal and go back on the road. So y'all stay tuned to Twin Peaks. They'll be back on the show in December. Many years ago, I got on my Triumph motorcycle. I was age 20 years old, and I took a ride to Mexico, where I went to Mexico City College, and another guy showed up on a motorcycle. He had a little Honda. He'd had to ride part of the way in second gear, part of the way with his brother on the back as far as Texas, and his name was Jim Darby. And I have a couple of photos of this guy, and I tried to find him for years. I had seen him back in in 63, 64. He was living on Grand Avenue. He had a painting of the Medusa, which was scary to me. I was learning about the counterculture, and then I couldn't find him, and I looked for him, and all of a sudden I'm watching TV, and there on Channel 11 is a guy talking about the right to marry anyone you like, and talking about gay marriage. His name was James Darby. I said, it's got to be the same guy. Same guy. He looks the same, just a little older. So good morning to you, James.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So what have you been doing for the last 50 years?
Well, вас не слышу, дайте мне настройку, слышу вас хорошо.
Aha.
That's what I did for 4 years at the Navy, copying Russian broadcasts.
Tavarish.
Tavarish, yeah, целую. And I was actually drafted into the Army, and I wound up in the Navy, and I did the Russian broadcast, copying broadcast for 4 years, and I really loved it, and I would have stayed in, but I am a gay person, and I knew that I would not last. So after my 4 years, I got out. And I met Mike in 1962.
Long time ago.
I was going to Roosevelt University, and I took the summer off to go to Mexico City College, and it cost, I don't know, a couple $100, and I found out I could buy a Honda for $300. And I said, well, that's it. I knew nothing about motorcycles. I bought it. I had to drive it up and down the alley to learn how to drive. And then the next day, I headed off to Mexico with my brother on the back. And when we got to Texas, my brother said he didn't want to go to Mexico. I said, fine, I don't want you to go with me anyway. So, but I spent the summer down there. I had a great time at Mexico City College. When I came back, I graduated from Roosevelt University, and I taught Spanish and English and French for 30 years on the south side of Chicago.
What school were you at?
I was at Hubbard, Harper, Gage Park, Lindblom, all good schools. I had great students. No matter what anybody says about Chicago public school kids, they are the best.
I love that. I think that we do have great schools in many ways. They may not test out academically in some cases, given the limited resources, but we certainly love teachers, and I got to know a lot of new teachers during this strike. And were you involved at all as an alumni of the teacher force?
Well, I have 10 strike signs at home. From the 30 years, we struck 10 times, and so I was always out there on the picket line. I believe in union rights. I was also working at Ford Motor Company with the auto workers, so I've been with many unions over my lifetime.
Well, you also, as a military man, as a graduate, so to speak, of the Navy, and someone who was gay while you were in the Navy, you probably endured hearing a lot of negative comments. You probably found some people who were pretty okay with things, but you went on to start a group, and let me see if I can get it right, Gay, Lesbian, and Transgender Veterans for America?
Bisexual, it was called.
Bisexual. Okay, give us a little story about how that came to be, because you found out about it, and as I understand, you went on to start a chapter here and be really involved.
Well, I met Sergeant Miriam Ben Shalom in Chicago at a Pride Parade, and I had seen her picture in Time magazine the week before, and I asked her about the Chicago chapter and who's running it, and she said, you are. And so that was it. And so I started the chapter in 1991, We are still going strong. We have wonderful memories. Travis is our treasurer, Larry, secretary. We march in all the city parades that we can, that they let us in. We've been in the Memorial Day Parade every single year. We march in the Gay Pride Parade. We have a 50-foot American flag that requires 38 people to carry. So if anybody ever wants to be in the parade, see me. I need all the bodies I can get.
Well, we're going to need to know how people get a hold of you. Do you want to share that?
Yes. We are AV. Today we are called American Veterans for Equal Rights, AVER. Post Office 29317, Chicago, Illinois 60629. Or if you would like to email me, my name is James Darby, and it's jamesdarby@aol.com.
James, what do you like to be called, James or Jim?
Either.
I know you as Jim, so
right.
If I slip into that, I will. Now, you mentioned your organization participating in various military parades. Somewhere I think I read that you were welcomed at first, but then some other military groups tried to keep you out. Tell us that story.
Well, there are a couple of stories like that. One, we tried to do a wreath laying in Daley Plaza, and I am a member of the American Legion, but they didn't seem to know what the pink triangle was, and so our wreath was a pink triangle of carnations, a big one, and the commander said, "Oh, if I had known you wanted to participate, I would have put you in the program. Come and see me." So I did, and I told him our name was Gay, Lesbian, and Bisexual Veterans of America, and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, you invited me to come down here and be part of the program, and you have 20 veterans groups listed, Italian American, Polish American, every one of them, and we'd like to be included also." And he said, "Well, we'll have to take that up with the powers to be." And he dragged that out for 9 months, not responding. I called, I visited, and I wrote, and finally, it was about 2 weeks before Veterans Day, and I said, "I have not heard anything from you." He said, "We're still working with the powers to be," and I won't say on the air what I told him, but because I would blow this microphone off the wall. But anyway, we did go down, and I was a little worried because most of my members expected to be included in the program with all of these other groups, and when we opened the program, they had wiped out everybody. No more veterans groups were listed in the program rather than put our name in. So it was a hollow victory.
Well, we've come a long way on this. We had a lot of don't ask, don't tell. And then we had our President Obama basically change it all over so that gays can participate in the military. Tell us a little bit about that ongoing struggle and what it's like, and what it was like for a veteran to have to endure the discrimination and prejudice on that issue.
Well, I did show up for every event that I could in Chicago, and quite often I would hear people say, "Oh my God, he's back again," or "What is he doing here?" And I would simply say to them, "I am an American veteran. I served this country. I was drafted. I didn't have to go in. I served for 4 years, and I served proudly. And I demand the same respect that any other veteran gets."
We do.
That's right. And so I was in Washington, D.C. with my partner. We were at the 50th anniversary of the Korean War. We participated in 4 days of activities, came the day for the parade. The VFW was in front of us, and they came over and said, "We don't want you to be marching behind us." And I said, "I'm not marching behind you. You're over there, and I'm over here." And they called the police, and the police told us we had to get out, and I refused to get out. And then they called the park police, and the park police said, "Would you step over here, and we have to talk to you." Well, I stepped over there, and the parade left without us, and I was really pissed. I went all the way to Washington, D.C. to be in the parade, and I got kicked out because we're gay.
Okay, well, on some other gay stuff, we could you are an inductee into the Gay and Lesbian Hall of Fame. I'm not sure what the technical title is, but when I started, after I saw you on the TV, and I started getting some information about you. You've been a pretty prominent fighter for justice on a lot of issues. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, because I am a gay veteran, I came out in 1992 on television because they were looking when President Clinton actually said he was going to lift the ban, and then he came up with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Lester Holtz on Channel 2 called and said, could he come and interview me? And I said, certainly. Well, it was my last year of teaching, and they printed across the TV screen, gay veteran, James Darby.
Yeah.
And, well, I did, you don't go around telling everybody you're gay. I assume everybody knows it. If they have any common sense, they can talk to me and they know I'm a gay person. But the phone kept ringing off the wall. All the teachers I worked with kept saying, I didn't know you were gay. And I thought, holy shit, you didn't know I was gay. I didn't know you were straight. Because, do I have to write it on the wall or whatever? But anyway, there were no real negative reaction to speak of.
Jim, one of the issues that still is in front of us and is starting to shift is the whole question of marriage. And I myself I actually have 2 kids who are gay. One of them is legally married, was married to his partner they got married in California. Before that, the referendum that changed that, although that seems to be shifting around again. And then I have a daughter, and she and her partner got married in our backyard, and they have a civil union because in Illinois you can't be legally married as a gay couple. So once again, if you just happen to tune in late, I knew this guy back in '62, saw him maybe one time in '63, and I looked for you a number of times, and then I saw you on Channel 11 on The Tonight Show, and you and your partner Patrick Bova were on, and you were talking about suing our pal David Orr over the right to get a marriage license. So tell us that story and how you think it's going on that front here in Illinois.
Well, Patrick and I actually were civilly unionized a year ago in June 2nd, downtown Chicago with 30 other couples. It was a wonderful ceremony. I mean, I don't see how anybody could have a bigger, more fun ceremony. The mayor was there. The governor was there. We were allowed to invite 10 friends, and so we had 10 friends to celebrate. But you come to realize that civil unions are not the real thing. We're both civil and we're unionized, but it doesn't mean crap. So we are working with Lambda Legal, and they have asked us if we would be part of a civil suit against for equal marriage for gay people. And the funny thing about it all is that the suit is called Darby versus Orr.
Two pals of mine.
and I thought I might.
Come on, we can work it out.
Yeah. Well, David Orr is, of course, 100% in favor of equal rights for gay people, so that we can also get married. And personally, if I want to get married, it's nobody else's business except my own. If 2 people down the street want to get married, fine. That has nothing to do with me. And if I want to get married to my boyfriend of 49 years, then it has nothing to do with them. So I don't see why anybody should be standing in my way.
How do you think this is going to play out in the next year or so? I mean, I know the election, the presidential election will have some bearing on it, but, the Defense of Marriage Act is now challenged in the courts. Will we have a change in the Illinois law first, hopefully, or will it come down to a federal decision at some point? What's your take on that in your crystal ball?
Well, I'm not sure which is going to come first. We are going back to court on November 7th. We had one court date already, and there were interveners. The Thomas More Society is intervening, and a couple of evangelical churches have decided that they want to come in also. And the judge was not real happy with the number of people who have tossed their hat in the ring, and so she postponed it until November 7. So we are going back.
Day after the election.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, it is. Well, I have to tell you that it's really juicy to go to court and And the reason I say that is because when you go in, they say, "Would everybody please rise for the judge?" And so the whole courtroom gets up. And then they all sit down again. And then they give the name of the case. And they say, "Would everybody please rise for Darby versus Orr?" And I have to stand up, and everybody has to stand up for me. It's hilarious.
Go ahead.
That's right.
Someone from the audience just sent me a question. It says, "Why don't civil unions mean anything?"
Well, they do mean some things. They give us the protection of, like, a hospital visit. They give us the protection of, like, instead of having a will, there are certain things that it covers, but it doesn't cover everything. And the bottom line is, when you tell somebody you are civilly unionized, they give you that
What's
funny
that?
look. They stare at you like, what? What is that supposed to be? It gives, it's like don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell gave a little bit of protection to some of the people in the military, because if they didn't say anything, they could stay in. Somebody with 10 years in the military who kept his or her mouth shut, they could stay in. Even if somebody else said something, they could still stay in. But other people could start an investigation, but it gave them a little bit of coverage. That's the only good thing that don't ask, don't tell did. But the same thing with civil union. It gives some coverage. But I want